Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Having It All podcast. My name is Matthew Bivens, and today, on this December 1st, 2018, I am super excited to bring a conversation to you all about something that I really dislike. And that's New Year's resolutions. I am not a fan of New Year's resolutions. And in our conversation today, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I think they are set up for you to fail. I'm going to tell you why I think setting New Year's resolutions in the way that we commonly do is setting you up for an uphill battle. One that is probably going to lead to some guilt, to some shame, to some self-deprecating thoughts. And I'm going to tell you what I do instead and what I recommend that you all at least consider. Just think about it. So that's what we're going to get into in our conversation today. You know, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I do want to take a minute to just welcome you. Say thank you. Thanks for taking a risk with your time to jump into a conversation about what it looks like to have it all. Because right now you probably have some sort of concept in your mind as to what having it all means. Maybe you feel that having it all is impossible. Maybe it annoys you when people talk about having it all. Maybe you feel it sets you up for failure, or it's just something that is not attainable. Or maybe you think that having it all is totally possible, but you're just leagues away from it, and that makes you frustrated. Wherever you're at, I'm here to shift your perspective on what having it all is. For me, having it all is not about what I possess. It's not about whether or not I have a happy marriage. It's not about whether or not I have a beautiful family or a nice, big, comfy, cozy home with a lot of gadgets and bells and whistles, or the car that people stare at when I drive by, or the type of paycheck, like my buddy likes to say, his paycheck looks like a phone number. It's so big. That to me is not what having it all is. Because you can have all of that stuff. You can have the family and the cars and the kids and the beautiful spouse and all the money and the careers and all these titles in front of your name and all these letters after your name, all that stuff, and still feel totally imbalanced, totally overstressed, totally uninspired. You can be in that IOU state and have all these amazing things. When that happens, what you're failing to recognize is that having it all is not about that stuff at all. It's about how you're experiencing your life. It's about who you have become in the process to obtain those things. Because if you hate the person you've become, then who cares if you have a nice house? If you can't experience a beautiful family, who cares if you have it? Right? And so that is the shift in perspective that we are bringing to the table in this podcast. So if it is your first time, welcome, because we're about to get real, and I love it. Let's dig into a little bit of magic to kick things off, because I always want to start off this podcast with something that when you apply it, it helps you to recognize and realize that, you know what, I already have it all. If having it all to you is an abundant, loving life, all you have to do is look at the magical moments that you're creating in your life to realize, wow, I am abundant. Wow, there's a lot of love coming at me, a lot of love that I have to give. And it's showing up in all these different areas of my life. And so that's why I recognize magical moments. Magic is when you inspire yourself, others, or life to show up powerfully, to create something amazing. So my magic today, I always like to get real on this podcast. My magic today is getting some straightforward, honest feedback about where I was showing up like a punk. I'll tell you why that's magic. I have, over the years, created a community of people who love me unconditionally, who see and hold a space for my greatness even when I cannot. And today I was simply reminded of that. So this community that I'm a part of, every Saturday morning we get up and we run 4 miles. And it's a rain or shine type of deal. We're out there running no matter what the temperature is, no matter what the weather's doing, no matter what circumstance is going on in our lives. We've all made a commitment to one another and to ourselves that we're going to show up. And last week, I was checking the forecast. I do that every week. I check the forecast every week. I don't know why I do that. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like if you've committed to show up, it doesn't matter what the weather's doing. But I had been following the forecast all week, and it was predicting rain. And I'm like, man, it's cold. It's December. It's going to be raining here in Atlanta. And if you've ever been to Atlanta in the winter, you know that it can be just terrible when it's like 33 degrees, right above freezing, and it's raining. It's just awful. And so that was the forecast for this Saturday. And I'm like, man, I do not want to do this. I do not want to go. And so I'm just watching it. And then Thursday night, Maya comes down with a fever. Ooh, that's my ticket out. Friday morning, still a little bit feverish. Friday night, the fever resumes. And I'm like, okay, awesome. This is my thought process, by the way. I'm being honest with you. I'm like, okay, great. Maya's sick. That's my ticket not to run. So this morning, and I actually brought Maya into bed with me last night because she was feeling funky. So I brought her into bed. And I'm like, this is even more confirmation that her illness is going to keep us away from the run. So this morning, Saturday, she's fine. She's fine. She's happy. She's energetic. And I decided not to go on this run. I said, you know what? I'd already made up my mind. I'm not going. Maya was sick. Maybe she still has a bug in her. Who knows? And if I subject her to being out in the cold, because I bring her with me, she's in the jogging stroller. She's covered up. She got a little plastic cover, so no elements get in there. And she'll be bundled up with jackets and blankets and all that stuff. But I'm thinking, if I bring Maya on this run, even though she's no longer sick, no longer has a fever, maybe it'll return. So I decided to stay home. And within minutes of making that decision, I told my peeps that, hey, I'm not going to be at the run today. And within minutes, the feedback started coming in. The feedback started flooding in. And it wasn't so direct, like, hey, man, you made a commitment, show up. It was, hey, we're showing up. And let me take a picture of all the people who are choosing to show up. And let me post that photo and show everybody dripping wet and saying, we show up no matter what. And I sat with that all day, people. I sat with that all day long because I knew that I did not show up powerfully for myself. I knew that I let emotions come in the way and make the decision for me. I knew that I gave in to circumstance, and that's not the man I want to be. And the hardest part about that for me is that I did it with Maya next to me. I used Maya as the reason why I wasn't going to show up powerfully in life. And it took me a solid 12 hours to really wrestle with that. Where right before I jumped on the mic, I sent out a message to my community, to my team, and I just was like, hey, listen, I need to own this. This is what's been going on. This was my conversation initially. This is how I've been wrestling with this. This is the rationalization I went through my mind. I appreciate you all for the feedback. I get it. I'm going to show up powerfully next time. That's magic to me. Not in me owning it. The magic is having people in my life who will hold me accountable in that way. Having people in my life who will show up no matter what. Because sometimes I need to see that as an example. And so this is magic, but this is also an opportunity for you to reflect. Where are you choosing to play small? Choosing to punk out? Where are you allowing those emotions to come in and sway your decision making? Because I know in some areas of your life, you've made some sort of commitment that I'm going to show up rain or shine. And then you're letting emotions come in the way that I did. And then the kicker is you rationalize it, you justify it, and then if you get confronted with it, you're in denial about it. Because I was in denial for those 12 hours until I just was like, I literally had to go in my bathroom and look in the mirror and be like, man, you chose. Own it. You chose. Okay. Because I was hating the feeling of knowing that I was choosing small. If you listen to the podcast for any period of time, you know my story is one where I chose fear time and time and time again. I chose to play small time and time and time again. So I did it today. And you might be thinking, it's just a run. It's not a big deal. But you know what? It's those little decisions that we make that really start to forge our character. And I know that there's going to be more opportunities for myself. And I'm like waiting for the next opportunity. I want it to come quick so that I can prove to myself that, you know what? I can do this. I will show up powerfully. And so, this is magic. And this is probably the longest magic I've ever done on this podcast. But I think that it's a profound message, and it's something that every one of us can take away from. And that's what the beautiful thing about magic is. Me sharing my magic can totally impact and influence you, and vice versa. So if this is if this has touched you in any way, I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear where in your life you've been playing small and how you want to start playing bigger. Hit me up. I'd be happy to hold you accountable the way that my peeps held me accountable. You can hit me up on Instagram, Matthew_Bivens. You can also hit me up on my email, mattcbivens@gmail.com. Feel free to just write subject line, hold me accountable, and then you tell me where you've been playing small. Because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm putting it out there to you all as well so that I can show up powerfully for myself. Because part of having it all is showing up powerfully for yourself. It wasn't loving when I was making the decision yesterday to not show up. I made that decision out of fear. So I wasn't being an abundant, loving person by making that decision. So let's use one another to hold each other accountable to being the greatest version of ourselves possible. Because that is what having it all means. I could probably just stop the episode now, like, bloop, that's it. But I do want to talk about the other stuff. And we got to do some listener love first. I got to give a shout out to a listener. So this one goes out to Tom. Tom, I appreciate you so much, man. You emailed me. We had been in an email thread a little while, and it was great to hear back from you. And I'm super happy, super stoked that you're up to big things. Sounds like you're up to really big things. So I appreciate you, Tom. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for connecting. Keep being awesome, man. Keep being awesome. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about New Year's resolutions because it's December 1st, and I chose to talk about this topic on December 1st for a reason, because there are a number of you, maybe the majority, who knows? There are a number of people right now who have been thinking about their New Year's resolutions, and you're like, oh man, when January comes around, I'm almost a little bit excited for this New Year's resolution because I'm ready to get back on track. That right there is one of the reasons, if not the reasons, why I dislike New Year's resolutions. Because here's what we do. Starting October 1st, a lot of us check out. We check out from our health. The holiday season is here. The holidays, one of the hallmarks of each one of these holidays here in America, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, is sweets, food, gluttony, excess. I guess you could look at it as abundance. You totally could. But we indulge. And we don't just do it once. We don't just do it twice. We do it in 3 big events across 3 months. For most people, we are checking ourselves out of our healthy habits for 3 months. And what's really fascinating is we let go of healthy habits and we start building unhealthy habits. We start building attachments. We start building materialism. Habits aren't simply the exercises that we do or don't do, or the food that we eat, or the drinks that we drink. We have habits of how we think about things, how we relate to things. And so from October through the new year, we just let go of all these healthy habits and we crush any momentum that we have established earlier in the year. And then we're bombarded with messages of set New Year's resolutions. Here's how to make effective New Year's resolutions. Here's how to get back on track. Because that's what we've done for 3 months. We've gotten ourselves off track. And so we set these New Year's resolutions because we realize, oh my gosh, I'm so off track. I'm up in my weight. I'm down in my fitness. I'm even lower in my happiness. I got to get back on track. And so we set New Year's resolutions, and we make them probably pretty big because we're like, I want to be not just back to where I was, I want to improve on where I was. But here's the thing. We took like 10 steps backwards over the course of those 3 months. So you got to take 10 steps forward just to get to where you were, let alone the next 10 steps you want to make. So you set yourself up for this huge mountain in front of you. You got Everest in front of you in your own personal expectations. And then now we can layer on some of the reasons why a lot of people don't make it through their New Year's resolutions. They are ineffective in how they go about really chopping at those New Year's resolutions. Their routines, just ineffective in establishing new routines. We don't have a big enough why, a big enough reason why we want to achieve this certain goal. We don't stick with it. We do the thing that I did earlier in my magic when I chose not to go to the run because it was cold and raining. We let our emotions come in. But all of that stuff is just layered on top of the big crux of it all is that we took a break for 3 months and we lost all momentum. Think of yourself like a freight train. There's a train that runs through the town that I live in. I love it. It's super cool. I can hear it from my house. Maya can hear it. It's amazing. And when I'm going to the downtown area, sometimes the train is crossing the tracks and I have to sit there and wait. Every once in a while, it's a long train. I'm talking like 6-7 minutes for that thing to cross. You're just sitting there watching like car after car go by. The train car. That is a big machine. When that thing gets going, when something that big gets going, it's very hard to stop it. That momentum will carry that thing for a long time. If that train needed to come to a dead stop, it's going to take several miles for it to come to a dead stop. That's how much mass it's moving, and that's how much momentum has been built up. That's what you're doing all year long. You're building up momentum with this train of yours. You're adding cars to the back. The mass is growing. It's like, this train is really moving. It's going to do some damage if it hits something. That's great. It's moving along. And then for 3 months, we hit the brakes. So here comes January 1st, 2019. You're getting over your hangover from the night before. Maybe you're like, no, screw it. I'm not starting my New Year's resolution on the 1st. That's dumb. I'm going to start it on the 2nd. I'll probably start it on the 2nd week in January. Fine, whatever you want to do. You start that New Year's resolution 2nd week of January, and guess what? You've got this massive train that has zero momentum. How much energy do you think it's going to take to get that train to even a fraction of where it was before? It takes a lot of energy. Energy in this case for you with resolutions is willpower. It's determination. It's discipline. It's hard. It's hard, people, to get that train of yours back to full speed when you're starting from stop. Because what happens? What creeps in? Guilt creeps in. Shame creeps in. Judgment creeps in. Comparison creeps in. Frustration creeps in. All of that sabotages you gaining that momentum back. So year after year, you're starting and stopping, starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Year after year, even when you do gain momentum, now you're a little bit further back than you were the previous year. And the next year, a little bit further back than the previous year. And then who knows, maybe you just say, screw it. I'm not doing any more New Year's resolutions. I'm not setting any sort of those goals. This is where I'm at. That's a narrative that I've heard and seen many, many times. So that is why I dislike New Year's resolutions. It's because it's connected with a thought process, a way of thinking, a way of relating to habits that is setting you up for frustration. So, what do I recommend instead? Well, it's December 1st. December 1st. If you know anything about me, you know that I'm always about finishing strong. I'm about finishing strong. In my opinion, now is the best time for you to start establishing healthy habits, for you to increase the momentum, for you to really dial in on those things that you're doing for your physical, emotional, spiritual, mental health. I want you to do the opposite of what you've been doing. What you've been doing is pulling back. I can really just let myself go for these couple of months, just for this holiday. Just, you know what? It's okay if I got a bag of Halloween candy. I'm just going to eat a little bit every day, It's okay if, you know what, I'm gonna eat some sweets leading up to Thanksgiving, and then I'm just gonna let it go and eat afterwards. Like, that's what we do. So what I want you to do is consider for yourself, what would your life look like on January 1st if instead of going backwards during this last month of the year, you went forwards? What would it look like if right now, today, you started to establish some new healthy habits? What would you feel like if you knew that for the next 31 days, you were being proactive and incredibly intentional about building and maintaining healthy habits rather than letting them go? When you do that, you don't have to set New Year's resolutions. You don't have to try to get back to where you were. You don't have to try to regain momentum on your train. You literally blast into the new year going faster than you were before. You go into the new year with more momentum. And then what you do is you carry that momentum into the things that you really want to tackle. Because you know what? I built up some trust with myself. Wow, I can do this. This is great. I was able to keep it going for an entire month. The month of December, where so many of us are checking out left and right. So I am going to be doing that for myself, really dialing in and increasing my commitment to my habits. Because I've been in that space of setting New Year's resolutions and being frustrated 2 weeks after I set them because I've stopped. I've totally been in that space of using the holidays as a reason to kind of fall back. I mean, shit, I did it earlier today. You could totally look at that and be like, yep, that was Matthew falling back in the holiday season. I've been there. I know what that's like. And so I want to just put this out there into your minds, into your awareness, that it doesn't have to be your New Year's resolution is you trying to get back to where you were. You don't have to be beating yourself up because you've lost some momentum the last months of the year. And now it's New Year's, January, and now you got to make up all that ground. That's what a lot of people do. But it's not what you have to do, because you always have choice. And in my opinion, right now is such a powerful, beautiful, awesome time for you to be establishing those healthy habits. So think about an area in your life where you've been pulling off the gas. You've been just letting things go. Maybe it's with your nutrition. Maybe it's with your fitness routine. Maybe it's with some mental habits. Maybe you haven't read a book in a long time. Maybe it's with some spiritual habits. Maybe you haven't been praying or journaling or getting into meditation like you normally have. You've been letting the pace of the season come in there and disrupt what your normal healthy patterns were, your healthy habits were. Just think for yourself and pick one area and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take Matthew up on this. I'm going to take him up on this idea of actually gaining ground in the month of December rather than losing it. So I encourage everyone to do that. Just pick an area and start small. Give yourself easy wins. Start small. But instead of doing what you've done in the past, do something different. If you want to experience different results, you have to do different things. It's simple. It's not always easy, but it is very simple. If you want to experience different results, then you got to adopt different habits. You got to establish different habits. And so I like to talk about habits as an art form: actions, relationships, or thoughts. So pick one of those. Maybe you want to shift an action. Maybe you want to shift a relationship, how you relate to something, how you feel about something. Maybe you want to shift a thought, how you think about something. Whatever it is, I highly encourage you to take the next 31 days to start gaining momentum in some area in your life. Gain momentum so that you roll into 2019 ahead. You roll into 2019 on fire. You've picked up some speed. Because what that does is that boosts your confidence. That's all that is. You're like, okay, wow, I can do this. The time of the year that's normally very trying for me, here I am crushing it. Here I am rocking it. Wow, okay, I've established a 5-minute meditation habit. I didn't think I could do that. Okay, wow, what else can I do? That's an attitude that if you roll into the new year with that sort of attitude, you will set yourself up for some amazing things. Hands down, you will be creating some badass magical moments in your life if that's how you roll into 2019. And it's all a choice. It's all a choice. So I know if you're listening right now, then this stuff is like, this is what you want to be hearing. This is the type of thing that you connect with because you know you're playing for an abundant, loving life. You know you want to have it all. That's why you're here, because you want to have it all. So let's begin December 1. There's probably still a few hours by the time I publish this on December 1st. Let's begin this month with thinking, okay, how can I gain momentum? Where do I want to gain that momentum? And think of exactly what you want to do. And then just start small and just apply it throughout the month. So, hopefully, this gave you something to chew on when it comes to New Year's resolutions, because I totally want to see you win. When you win, I win. I don't even have to know you or have ever met you to know and to feel that as you're winning, I get that energy impact. Because we're all connected. And our actions ripple. They ripple all around us. So, show up powerfully for yourself. I'm going to be doing that for myself. I got my lesson today. I don't need any more lessons like this. It's like message received. And I'm going to be super excited to be feeling the impact of your all's powerful, healthy decision making through the rest of the month. And if you want to reach out to me again and let me know, hey, I'm going to commit to this. Cool. Again, I'm happy to hold everybody accountable. This seems like an accountability type of episode too. Yeah, that's definitely an underlying theme here, accountability. So I'm happy to hold you all accountable to showing up powerfully through the month of December rather than taking your foot off the gas. Because I would love for every single person listening right now to have either built a new healthy habit or strengthened a healthy habit going into the new year. That would be incredibly awesome. So reach out to me, connect with me, Matthew_Bivens on Instagram, mattcbivens@gmail.com. Let me know how I can hold you accountable to being a powerful person through December of this year and rolling into the new year. And I will hold that space for you. All right, let's do it, everybody. My name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal, physical, or mental health.